From world events to Washington and New York City, here's your concise world update for Monday, January 12th. At least 544 people have been killed as Iran enters a third week of nationwide anti-government protests. President Donald Trump said Iran had called to negotiate as his administration weighs potential military options.
There seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, but we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination.
Ukraine launched overnight strikes on 3 offshore drilling platforms in the Caspian Sea owned by Russian oil giant Lukoil, escalating its campaign to erode Moscow's ability to finance the war. The U.S. military carried out large-scale airstrikes against ISIS targets across Syria on Saturday. This operation marked the second U.S. strike on ISIS targets in Syria since December 19th. Australian authorities said it could take firefighters weeks to bring major bushfires in the country's southeast under control, after the blazes destroyed homes, knocked out power to thousands of households, and scorched vast areas of bushland. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security is deploying hundreds of additional officers to Minnesota, a day after tens of thousands of demonstrators marched through Minneapolis to protest the fatal shooting of a woman by an immigration agent. The U.S. Department of the Treasury is stepping up scrutiny of financial transactions between Minnesota residents and businesses and Somalia. President Donald Trump said Friday that he is calling for a 1-year cap on credit card interest rates at 10%, starting January 20th, though he offered few details on how the proposal would be implemented or enforced. The families of 4 University of Idaho students who were murdered in 2022 have filed a lawsuit against a nearby university where the confessed killer, Bryan Kohberger, was a graduate student at the time. The U.S. Department of Justice has opened an investigation into statements Jerome Powell made to Congress about renovations to the Federal Reserve's headquarters in Washington. John Thune is intensifying his sales pitch as he tries to shift Republicans' focus toward November and holding the party's Senate majority. Thune acknowledged the difficulties in selling the party's signature legislative package and the midterm headwinds, as he put it, that confront any party in power. Former Trump White House advisor Steve Bannon is quietly laying the groundwork for a possible 2028 presidential run. Marco Rubio has rapidly emerged as the administration's point person on Venezuela, the official at the president's shoulder, as Donald Trump declared that we're going to run the country. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani is facing renewed scrutiny after a delayed response to a protest in which demonstrators chanted pro-Hamas slogans.
I think that language is wrong. I think that language has no place in New York City.
A New Jersey man was arrested with aggravated assault, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, endangering the welfare of a child, criminal mischief, resisting arrest by flight, and hindering apprehension, for allegedly throwing a rock at a school bus and fracturing the skull of an 8-year-old Jewish girl. Thousands of nurses at hospitals across New York could walk off the job on January 12th if contract talks fail to produce agreements by the deadline, according to the New York State Nurses Association. A suspect has been arrested after a fire tore through a prominent Jackson, Mississippi synagogue, the state's largest Jewish house of worship, leaving the congregation forced to rebuild from the ashes once again. Job growth slowed more than expected in December as employers remained cautious about hiring amid uncertainty over import tariffs and rising investment in artificial intelligence. While the unemployment rate edged lower, a combination likely to keep the Federal Reserve on hold this month. President Trump said Wednesday that he plans to bar large institutional investors from buying single-family homes, marking his administration's first major step to confront the nation's acute housing shortage. From the Middle East to Wall Street, you're up to date.